Hello everyone, this is Brian and welcome back to Twilight Struggle Play the Experts, where I play the experts and you pray for the game to be over. Now last time we purged him again, lost Argentina in a brush war, and then managed to cash a few cards for points and stuff before he hit us with the non-aligned movement and just destroyed some of our best cards along with all of Israel, which we had to take back. And then he dominated South America. The Quagmire and the Bear Trap got out without any particular muss or fuss. We chose to not have the cards reshuffle going into turn 7. We refrained from playing the Shah. And then we got a terrible hand with 4 1 cards, including Lone Gunman. And just tried to struggle through the turn, over-protecting things. He did have to play the Southeast Asia scoring card for us, but we had to play Africa for him. But in the end, we end up only about, after all that scoring, only 2 points down from where we started the last episode. And so we're ready for the late war, and we will see what a big hand of black cards looks like. All right, so here it is. What did you guys think of this hand? We got some interesting cards, not all of them fantastic. So we're still stuck with Lone Gunman, but we have How I Learned to Stop Worrying to hopefully be able to get rid of that. We have Star Wars, which in some games, if we were ahead in the space race, it would be one of the best cards in our hand, but as it currently stands, it is basically 2 ops. If we controlled South Korea, then that Soviet shoot down KAL 07 would be an awesome card. As it is, we might want to use it to stop him from cooing us and get 2 points in the process. Marine Barracks, bad in the Middle East. So that funny Stanislav Petrov card, it lets us set the DEFCON to 4 or 5, which we totally don't want. So it's just 3 ops. Yuri and Samantha makes coups cost more, just use it in the turn. Reagan bombs Libya, we could make 1 point out of if we wanted it for points, but it's probably 2 ops. Glasnost, if we get it off before he plays the Reformer, is actually kind of like a slightly expensive ABM treaty. So it's kind of an emergency coup card. It knocks the DEFCON down 1, and then we can coup, but not if he's already played the Reformer. Then it lets him do 4 ops also, which would be just unplayable at that point. So we probably want to try, if we can manage to wickle that out earlier rather than later, that's probably best for us. And so then the question is, what to headline in a hand like this? I'm not very eager to headline Reagan for 1 point. I'm not very eager to headline How I Learned to Stop Worrying because, A, it's still, he pretty much knows we have it at this point, so he is going to prepare for it, but it holds that threat against him, and it also, very importantly, is insurance against Lone Gunman if he terrorisms us. Fortunately, the Iran-Iraq thing, whatever it is, the Iran-Contra, I think that's what it is. Maybe it's who knows? Maybe it's the Iran hostage crisis. That's what it's called. That would double the terrorism effect. But if he terrorisms us, okay, well, there's the possibility, kind of 1 in 9 or whatever, that because if he's going to terrorism, he would do it to us early in the turn. He could just happen to hit How I Learned to Stop Worrying. On the other hand, he could just happen to hit Lone Gunman. So, sometimes you just have to take the chances you have to take. But I feel safe-ish in that kind of ish level of safe. So it kind of leaves me at maybe Soviet shoot down KAL because it stopped. I mean, it is a 4 ops card we're giving up, our only guaranteed to be usable 4 ops card, but it gives us 2 points and knocks the DEFCON down, and so that seems pretty legitimate to me in this situation. So he is in fact terrorismed us. We go first, and please don't hit How I Learned to Stop Worrying, because that would be fatal. Ooh! Oh, how much can you hope for? That's awesome. Okay, so he got the War Games card. Well, that's what we could have hoped for. We could have hoped to get the War Games card and just win. Wouldn't it be funny if he had, terrorismed us to within an inch of our life, and then we played War Games and won. Anyway, it didn't happen. But He had rather bad luck with his terrorism this time, and they blew up the least usable card in our hand and did not blow up the card that could have saved us, and et cetera, et cetera. I just realized that this little bad boy here, even if he had Stanislav Petrov, would have gotten us off the hook, even if How I Learned to Stop Worrying got nuked. So it was actually a 100% safe hand to hold through headline. And we need to decide what we're doing. Let's see. We're going to start over-controlling things. Over-control a few more things. I want to ensure we get Asian domination. All right, so there's another piece of nice luck for us. We didn't get Ortega because that would have been another headline of destruction for us if he could coup Cuba. We'd have to space that. So he's going to, he's making a little knight fork move. It's beautiful in its evil subtlety, this Russian move here. So he has both used his horrible space power to go into Venezuela, threatening to then just walk straight up, just play a 4-card and take it over. And he's also crunted a little chunk into Colombia coming out of Panama so that he could realign us at +1. So that's all very, very not good. And we do need a coup. We need to get some ops ourselves. So we will go to there. We roll a 1. We knocked him out, so he won't realign us, but now I imagine something terrible is going to happen. Let's see if I can predict a high ops card and utterly crushing. Okay, could have been, Iranian hostage crisis, man. It makes me think of an interesting, just imagine if his headline had been that, and then he'd played terrorism for 2. That could have gotten awkward, but he didn't go for it. I guess because he already had Iran, which I agree is probably correct. So he only went up for 3. He did not choose to loose the fateful lightning of the terrible China card in order to take it over for sure. So that still leaves us, we could try to play back in, but we don't have a lot of big cards. We only have 1 left, and that one lowers the DEFCON. But that does bring up the just playing Glasnost for a coup, and getting fully back into South America sounds like something good to do. So we need to resolve the event first. It does give him his 2 VP back for the South Korean War, or airliner, and we hope to blow him to chunks. All right, well, that was good. That was good enough. So he's all the way back out. And so, that is so mean. That is just so mean. So, he illustrates the power of this fully operational battle station and just does it again, and now we've used our card and given him 2 points. So we may have to walk away. Now we've gotten military ops out the wazoo, and maybe we just need to walk away from Venezuela. We'll over-control it, and we'll finish our little over-control project. I'm over-controlling now all of South America. That's one of, at the end of the game, that's going to be one of our big scoring things we have. And now that I've got each one over-controlled by an extra point, it would be much more expensive for him to break our control. And so he's not as likely to go there. I mean, he might coup us, but even then we've also hardened him against the coup. And since we have Costa Rica, then we would still get a domination even if he knocks one off. All right, so he is willing to give us 2 extra points in Saudi Arabia in order to realign the crud out of this. And he knocks us out. Well, okay, so what realigns around comes around. We do get this little door prize in Saudi Arabia, which, could come in handy depending on how the Middle East cookie crumbles. And let's see. So we are going to be playing all of these cards. I think we should space the most awful one. That would blow up a lot of points in. Oh, good. Okay. Well, so now we only need 1 more successful space thing to end this. He's spacing tear down this wall, which is totally unplayable for him. We would win instantly if he played that during the turn. And he fails, not that he needed any more successes, although he would have liked to get 3 more points. And we don't probably need to be doing any more coups, so we don't care about the Yuri and Savantha event, and we are just going to put some prods out. Get Egypt back. Oh, so he's canceling. Okay, he had to do a coup somewhere. If only we didn't have, if we didn't have Costa Rica, he wouldn't have anywhere to coup, and then we would get 5 points. But let's see. So he has canceled Flower Power, which I don't think we ever lost points to Flower Power. Oh, and he gets to give us a point. That is one of the least effective Flower Powers that has ever powered Flower. And here we come to good old How I Learned to Stop Worrying, which at one point I thought was going to be a big, awesome... Well, it was a threat. It was a threat for a while. It made him do some, like he had to use a 3-ops card to coup Costa Rica just so that I didn't use this card to steal 5 points from him, by moving DEFCON to 5, and they didn't have any military op. And oops, I'm not sure I really want it to be at a really low DEFCON anymore, especially given my European situation. So I'm just going to try to get physically into Colombia and just threaten, that gives him a little bit of problem. He's going to have to fill up Venezuela before I get back in there, because if he doesn't and I take it over, now he won't be able to do his irritating Night Fort trick again because of the terrible 5 points in Colombia. So that worked out, sort of. And we are on to turn 9, the middle of the late war. Middle of the late war. All right, here's the reshuffle finally happening. And we are looking at a card we didn't really want to see in the form of the Middle East scoring card. Iron Lady is free ops. Nuclear Test Ban is a nice ops card. Eastern European Unrest could be useful for us because in the late war it takes 2 off of 3 countries in Eastern Europe. So we could East Germany at 8 we're not going to do a lot of harm to, but we could certainly unplug Romania and Poland just to give him a little scare, especially if we do it at the end of the turn. All right, so North Sea oil is interesting. Now, I believe OPEC is in the discard pile, and so we're not as concerned about him playing OPEC for the event, because that's one thing it does, is it makes OPEC unplayable. If I kind of knew he had OPEC, I would get that played for the event to save the currently 4, soon-to-be 5 or even 6 points he could get from an OPECing. And it allows us to play 8 cards a turn. I'm not sure this is really the turn we would want to play 8 cards. Now, we have JFK back, Ask Not What Your Country Can Do For You, which we could use to purge Middle East scoring out of our hand, and slightly annoying Pershing II, the Iran-Contra scandal. But, see, Iran-Contra, it's meaningless if we play it on our last action. Pershing II deployed, it's only 1 point, and then we just play the ops to cancel whatever it is he does with it. So I might that's a spaceable card, and I need to space something. So it's almost like I might rather save JFK in case I get a bad hand. It'll be like the Hail Mary on turn 10 to get the bad cards out and try to poke it through. Unless, if Middle East scoring starts to turn really grim, we could use it to save losing the points to that. So then comes the card that I'm probably, in fact, going to headline, which is Defectors. We haven't gotten that card ourselves yet this game. This is our first time with it. But it will cancel his headline event. And, there's not as many horrendous things that Soviets can do as there are horrendous things that Americans can do in the late war deck. But there are a number of them. They are out there. And so I think just finally whamming him with a good, fat defectoring seems like a good thing. So let's do that. Just cancel his thing, because Underminer Brilliant headlines. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Aldrich Ames. I guess he, turned a spy and then he defected to us, or we turned him double or something like that. So he would have gotten to look at our entire hand and discard the best card in it, which probably have been JFK or maybe East European Unrest, whatever he didn't want to happen. So that was a very good time to defector. And plus, he would know every card that was coming from us, and so he would just be cooing the crap out of the Middle East, and it would just be horrible. Yeah, I guess if I were him and looking at this hand, I would probably discard JFK and then just pound the Middle East as hard as I could. I think that's what I would do, depending on what his cards in his hand. We don't know what his cards in his hand. Oh, but apparently one of them is Missile Envy, and he knows at DEFCON 3 that he can get away with it. But fortunately, he didn't get to Aldrich Aim, so he didn't know that he would get a really not very useful for him card, because I think he's going to get a point out of Nuclear Test Ban. But then the DEFCON is going to go to 5, which is not probably the result he wanted. He probably would have rather taken a coup. He would have rather us had to hand him one of our events that he could then use to take a coup and take it out of our hand and whatever. But now he's got a kind of, oh, and it's DEFCON 5 and it's our turn. Wow. Now we have to use Missile Envy. Otherwise, this would be the very moment to get rid of Middle East scoring in some ways, other than the DEFCON 5 thing. But we might get 2 coups and he only gets 1. Yeah, so that was not the card he was hoping for on Missile Envy. It did take our biggest card. It turned our big card into a 2 card in this case. So let's take a coup and blow him out of Africa. That actually, or sort of blow him out of Africa. I forgot that we have a tendency to roll those. Oh! Yeah, he definitely needed the one small step card again. I could have totally used that. Man, we could have gotten 3 cards and ended the hemorrhaging, but he's going to take his coup and he's going to blow us away there. So much for our idea. But we're sure going to do it again. And in goes the Iron Lady for a big thorough pounding there, because I didn't want to get surrounded and realigned and all those terrible things. I want to be stably in. Well, at least it didn't purge us. Of course, if he'd purged us, we would have defectored it. So now he gets 4 ops. Okay, he's back to domination in the Middle East, and he's okay. So that's, yeah. It's interesting, I was thinking about, instead of taking that last coup, do I try to go into Venezuela and whatever? But then we would only had one place left in Africa, and he could have either cooed it and just controlled Africa, which I think he'd be happy to, quote, merely dominate South America if he got to control Africa and have us not be there. So it just didn't. I needed to make sure we were not knocked out of Africa, because it's one thing to give him 4 points whenever Africa comes up. It's another thing to give him like 11 points. That would not be, frankly, survivable. So I'd rather be a little bit on the edge in South America. Like I think right now it would score for him for 8, but that's still not 11, right? So, he's got some good areas of the map. He's got a lot of good areas of the map. So this is a little bit scridgely, but we're still hanging in there. We still got our 8 points. So he's got to overcome our just 8 points that we have on the scoreboard. So that's like South America. Like all of his South America position goes just to nullify that. Europe and Asia kind of canceled themselves out. I think we actually come out a little bit to the good in that one. Then Central America versus Africa and the Middle East is what's left. So, we're hanging in there, and we do get hopefully, unless something terrible happens, we get the last play of the game next turn. This is a little especially when you're playing a higher rated player and you think, oh gosh, I might beat a higher rated player, and then you've got to do terrible things. Oh, so we failed again to get into space, so we get to live another turn and possibly forever under his space-clad boot. He'll be happy to see that. And here's that reformer. And he's going to just, he's going to irritate us in Europe. I'm less afraid of the Europe situation as long as I stay on it, as long as he doesn't kind of get some horrible 2 turns in a row thing. I mean, it takes a lot to get a hold of West Germany. I mean, to control it. He can make us not have any countries. I think I'm just going to fortify Italy and just say, stop doing that. I'm going to over-control it, not by even 1, but by 2, and say, look, dude, yeah, go ahead and take West Germany. Have fun spending 6 points in West Germany, but I am going to just double fortify this and not lose the game on European control. Thank you very much. The debt crisis, just for ops, and he's kind of fixing some of his little problems, and poking one into Pakistan, I saw you, Mr. Russian guy, trying to sneakily take my thing. I'm just going to keep double forward, or over controlling all these things so he can't right at the end stick something in and steal our, break one of our dominations and force us to unbreak it, because we really want to have a good, solid last play. Oh, he had to play Solidarity. Thinking back on this, I mean, it's decent that he's probably going to have to, what's he going to do, just use that to fill it up? Okay, so it was a dead round for him, but honestly, I think back on that, and I kind of wish I'd played the Pope for ops back when things were a little tighter, because that was kind of a nothing. I mean, it would have been, if we'd done that, he would have had 2 free ops to probably jam up our throat somewhere. But we're running out of, there's not many things we don't have over-controlled anymore in terms of battlegrounds. In fact, are there any? Do I finally have every battleground over-controlled by ones? I mean, that's pretty expensive, but I think we finally did it. Even India. Yeah. So anyway. So I think that in spite of having JFK, and it's going to cost 4 points or 3 points. Is it going to be 3 points? I guess it might just be 3 points. Let's see, F4 minus D. Yeah, it's 3 points. Okay. Or is it 4? No, it's 3 points because of shuttle deployment. That's why it is. Yes, 3 points. So in spite of that, I have JFK, so I could just turn it into something else. But of course, it could turn into it could turn into the South America scoring card or something absolutely awful. And see, I would rather wait and see maybe next turn the Europe card comes up or the South America card comes up, or maybe both of them come up in our hand, and I could just flush them all away. I feel like if I squander JFK to just avoid losing 3 points. So, I mean, this could backfire on me, but I feel like I want to be ready for the big disaster. I feel like we're in, even at 5 points, we're in kind of scoring position here, and I don't want to blow it through squandering, through using a really great card for a medium amount of stuff. Think of it this way. 3 ops to get 3 points is what plus we'd be keeping the Iran-Contra thing, probably. Well, it depends on what card we got. So I'm just going to go ahead and score off the Middle East. Again, you want to fulfill these obligations as the U.S. before the very last round so that I can theoretically do something mean with the last point to force him to try to screw up his headline phase. So he's going to play Chernobyl, which, frankly wouldn't have bothered him much one way or the other, but it's always good for him to play it at the end. He's trying to over-control Cuba. We'll just click a random button because it's the end anyway. And so, of course, that means, we don't get to do anything mean because we're fixing this. He's making us fix things instead of doing something mean. And I guess with the other points, he knows if he spams red guys into South America, if he can tie the total number of countries, he can actually deny us control. So I'm going to go ahead and put some guys in here. So again, we don't create a threat. We're responding to his, but I think it's a pretty strong and solid response. And we are in, I think, a slightly favored position still going into this last round. So who's ready for turn 10? And here is our last hand of cards. Oh, it's a good hand. It is a good hand. Wow. In fact, it's such a good hand that I feel like, if I'd known I was getting this hand, I would have JFK'd that Middle East card away at the end of the last turn. Because, so we've got the ABM treaty. And the ABM treaty means that anytime during the turn, we can lower the DEFCON by 1 to 3, presumably to 3, and then take 4 ops. And we know Missile Envy's done, so he's not going to be stealing it from us. And so that's a really good card. So it means we can get an extra coup, or we can get a coup if a headline coup. And there's the special relationship that he spaced. That's worth 2 points and 2 random guys in Europe. So, if he gets really frisky in West Germany or Italy, we can stop him and get 2 points. We've got, tear down this wall isn't going to be very useful. It's a good card, but not useful in this case. Petra. duck and cover we can use to get 3 points. If we headline it, we will get 3 points and stop him from cooing. And then the most beautiful card to ever see on turn 10 as the American player, the voice of America. That is not our headline. That is not our play on any of the little middle action rounds. That is, by definition, our very last play of the game. On the very last action round of turn 10, when he can't respond, and we are going to reach out and take 4 of his points off the map anywhere except in Europe. And so we have so many beautiful ways that we can break his dominations. You know, when I saw that card, that made me think, yeah, I think we're going to win this game. I think this game is now probably ours. I mean, he could be sitting there with South America and Europe. He couldn't have Middle East again. He could have Africa before we get to do anything to it. So he could, I could imagine a hand that even this hand couldn't overcome, but it would basically be him scoring all his things in extra time. But I think we might be able to do it, so let's do it. Let's stop him from cooing and get some more points. Headline duck and cover. Here we go. So OPEC wasn't actually out. That is awkward. That is an example of when Brian should actually go look at what is out instead of just trying to remember. So our gaining 3 points turns into losing 3 points net, but at least we gained them, so we're up by 2 points. All right, there's that awkward Star Wars card again that would normally be suicidal for him. All right, he's poking into Pakistan again. So we're going to keep... I mean, the one good thing about all this ops war is that it at least keeps the map kind of stable. And we're gradually getting ahead of him in this. I think if we keep on filling these things up, that he's going to kind of give up on Central America, for example. Oh, as the event. Okay, he's getting desperate because that's a low probability thing. All right, he failed, and he didn't create a threat for once. So I think I can finally space something again. I can recall very few games when I have been as happy to have something go into space as that. We have tied him on the space track, and our long national nightmare is over. It's over. He can't do it anymore. Ooh, he can score Europe, though. I haven't seen a red number on the scoreboard in a while. This is getting a little scridgy. We're going to go ahead and play the event, and we might as well go ahead and have an extra point eventually for West Germany. He space races more, trying for the 3 points. Didn't get it. I don't know if there's going to be... might be won or lost by as few as 3 points, depending. So we're going to now take our coup, and I think we want to try to actually flip domination of Africa. Now, you may be looking and thinking, Brian, what is the deal in South America? And here's the deal in South America. Yeah, it's worth a lot of points, but I don't know that he suspects I'm holding Voice of America. And I don't want to clue him in there. I don't want him over controlling things. I want him to just not be thinking about South America if at all possible. Maybe at the last minute he'll do something, because it would be pretty hard, but possible. But it would be hard for him to overprotect that so much that I can't deny him control. And it is even possible right now, if he really doesn't look, or get there with more, that I could actually deny him even domination. So I'm actually now in the business of trying to flip Africa to our domination. And at least it also keeps it off of him, because Africa tends to be, because it's got all these little one controllers, it tends to be a little more overprotected and harder to screw with. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So he's doing some kind of... I think don't wait for the translation doesn't cost him anything right now. He's getting into the overprotection game. We are going to Yeah, we need a non-battleground. That was a fairly expensive coup, but I needed to have one definite non-battleground that it's hard for him to take away from us, so that I can dominate, hopefully. And also this is keeping him busy. This is keeping him not overprotecting South America. Well, Kennedy, we hardly knew you. You are going to go into a coup attempt, and let's just keep him desperately struggling at the thing that is the less important of the things. Do not look at South America. Don't look at South America. Yeah, he did put one thing a minute ago in South America, but he didn't put the other thing. And are we here? We're here, right? We're here. It is action round 7 of turn 10. He's only ahead by 2 points. All right, so Europe is worth 5. We could cost him domination of Europe we could use 2 points of Voice of America to scrunt France down so he wasn't controlling it. It would cost us two of our 4 voices. Oh, wait, we can't do it in... I always forget the voice. I mean, ironically, because, of course, that was actually a thing they mostly did in Europe, but you can't do it there. So I can't do it there. But anyway, if we had been able to do it, we would have cost him 5 points. Now, Africa, currently we're at 1 because we outnumber him, but we have 4 countries. We have more battlegrounds than him. We have 4 countries, and he currently controls 5. So if we took him down 2, then we would suddenly, not only would we get the normal net 4 for domination, go from 1 to 4, but we'd also, because rather than take his 2 little ones off, what we could do, neither South Africa nor Algeria is overprotected. So we could cost him a controlled country and a battleground at the same time. So that's something like 5-ish points that we can make about 5 points there, go from 1 to like a 6 for an Africa score. Yeah, I think we can gain 5 more points from that. So that's pretty good. Now, I think the big payoff is gonna be in South America. And so the question is how many of these we can do. South America currently scores for 8, but he didn't manage to over-control Brazil, and he only has 1 non-battleground in Peru, and it's not over-controlled. So for 2 little plinky-dinkies, I could take him down to merely a presence, and then he would have 3 battlegrounds, and I have a presence, so he would get 3 points. So I can cost him 5 points. So I'm thinking if I cost him 5 points and gain myself 5 points, then that's going to be a pretty good result. So here it comes. Voice of America. Boop, you don't control it. Boop, you don't dominate it. Yeah, 3 points. And then boop, you don't have any battlegrounds, and I dominate it. And I think that is the best that we can do. And so here it comes. Did we do it? I think we know we did. Oh, we did. We did it. And the China card maybe? Yeah. So we win by 5 points, folks. This has been a long, hard, emotionally draining trip for me as your American commander. That was some serious space race horridness. But in the end, we actually won a game against somebody I've never actually beaten before. So that's kind of exciting and fun. The memory of him pummeling me 4 consecutive times is now somewhat mitigated. I will certainly say that, as in Twilight Struggle, in Twilight Struggle games, there is a luck component. We certainly had some good hands. Now, mind you, he had some moments of pretty darn good luck, too, like destroying all of our cards with all of our best cards with non-aligned movement. And, so he had his moments and we had our moments. I think it was definitely a game I could have lost if I had done just an even slightly or stupider thing at one point. So it's not like this was just a game because he played really well. Cards he was dealt, I might have analyzed after the fact one or two somewhat mistakey little things along the way, and at least one of them I managed to pick up on in time to exploit and make some hay from. But he made some really tough threats. It was a good game. This time we came out on top. So that means that now I've got a little vacation coming up, so there may be a 1-week hiatus, but either next week or the week after, I will be back, and I will be back with another opponent, perhaps even higher rated, and to be slapped around by. And we will see you next time on Twilight Struggle, Play the Experts.